extend the vision online, bringing conversation global with high-signal discussions at an intersection of AI, DeepIn, and the decentralized world. So today's theme, again, is about cloud versus decentralized GPU infrastructure. We're going to be exploring more what's happening on the cloud and how the GPU decentralization is also taking place, empowering data centers in the DeepIn networks. And with DeepIn or GPU.net, we're really building the decentralized compute layer when anyone can access and deploy and even own part of the infrastructure. And that's why you are also invited to get some credits. If you visit dap.gpu.net and then you launch a subnet at cpu.gpu.net, you can join us also on any platform. We're going to be giving, stay tuned by the end of the talk, also 5 hours of GPU time. So this is very important. So first, let's welcome our distinguished guests with us today. 𝐂𝐤𝐫𝐞𝐬𝐢𝐝, welcome on board, co-founder and CEO of 𝐂𝐤𝐫𝐞𝐬𝐢𝐝. Dr. Ravi Shamriya, co-founder and CEO of 𝐂𝐥𝐨𝐮𝐝 and India. India. Abhishek Mato, founder and CEO of bCloudX. So together, we all come here and unpack how GPU.net cloud versus decentralization is really building the next frontier of decentralization. So without further ado, let me welcome our guests. I'm really happy with you joined here, all of us under one platform, discussing these amazing infrastructure changes, if I want to call them, because things are really changing. This is why I want to start directly, and this is a question to all. Why decentralized clouds such as AWS, Azure, Google, and the likes of them are really dominating the world today? Theo, Ravi, Abhishek, if you want to handle.
Yep.
So today,
yes,
if you look at
please, Abhishek.
Go ahead, Abhishek.
Today, if we look at cloud computing, it is basically dominated by mostly three giants like AWS, GCP, and Azure. Because they solve two big problems. First is scalability, and second is reliability. So I think because of that, they are dominating the centralization.
Yeah. Theo, what's your take? I know you're building also a lot of tech underneath. You understand how these big boys are functioning and what's happening behind the scene.
Well, first and foremost, from today's perspective, it's very easy to say, hey, Amazon is a huge player. Azure is a huge player. Like everybody is a huge player, right? And sometimes their scale is a little bit daunting. But I would take a little bit of a different angle. So first and foremost, all these companies used to be startups, right? So Amazon people thought it was a bookstore, right? It was actually a logistics company that was using same size packages. So if you think about it, the main innovation that Amazon did is conversion of its cost centers into profit centers. So their acquisition of Internet Movie Database, right, was actually their foray into the business, and then they saw that they can actually make money off it. So Azure, again, like Microsoft Developer Network Distributed Services, becoming a cloud, and this kind of comes with demand, right? I think we have a tendency of forgetting how internet actually developed, and at each time that we have this precipice, right, we had the old incumbents, and when the new boys showed up, it was like, what are you doing in the field, right? The world is not big enough. All the computers will have 1 megabyte of memory, right? Who would need to have a computer on their desk, right? So these were kind of like the focus topics of the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. But today this is your office, right? Cell phone is your office, and with this, sorry for being blurred, right? With this comes need for a massive amount of data storage, which cloud services are, and now we need a lot of compute. So Why they dominate today? Simply because we all need them. Will they dominate tomorrow? That's an open question.
You mentioned that phone, and I'm trying to remember what's the ratio. But anyway, Apollo 13, when they went to the moon, our mobile phone is maybe 100 times much stronger. So imagine the power we hold in our hand. Ravi, what's your take on this topic?
Yep. So, one, I would agree with Abhishek and Theo both that all the incumbent centralized players today, they are pretty big. They provide reliability and scalability. And at the same time, they have grown massively. So they have very mature service ecosystems. So it's not just about the scalability, but there's a massive amount of reliability. And rightly so, because AWS revolutionized this whole model where earlier enterprises or startups, they used to run their own servers, own machines in-house. So they abstracted the infrastructure, brought in virtualization, cloud, and slowly they have taken up the market. Yes, there are quite a few other players, and we believe that still in Web3, majority of market is still dominated by cloud players and traditionally the top ones. But then there are quite a few bare metal providers who are also doing a pretty good job and taking a market share. But yeah, I think as far as reason why centralized clouds are dominating today, it's because they have built this business in last 15 to last almost 20 years, and they have grown massively with good number of tools and integrations. So there's a technical lock-in. If you use AWS, there are thousands of web services, and once you start using them in your app, of course you get logged into that. Migrating to another infra is becomes very difficult.
Interesting point of view in terms of how this whole market shaping. And then if we go back a decade ago, when they were as startups, you mentioned Theo, growing startups, compute power was really a problem. And I think a lot of innovation was formed because of this change into how they were able to give us this new power versus the price versus whatever, and how we can take it. Very interesting. So what do you think about the cloud monopoly risks in terms of pricing, censorship, and control? And of course, local laws playing a role in this space, because with the risks, not just monopoly, also the governments forcing certain solutions versus others. In some countries, we don't have those global players versus other countries where we only uniquely depend on those players. Anybody has a point of view on this part?
Yep. So I think one, since we are talking about decentralized infra, the one clear is that there is too much of concentration of power, right? And that is leading to whether it be pricing power, like AWS, for example, has significantly increased their egress cost in last 5 to 10 years. So there's a massive, pricing disproportion. And second, as I mentioned, that there's a lock-in, because once you start using these services, different integrations become part of their marketplace, then you're pretty much logged in, and there's a heavy cost to migrate from one cloud to another. Censorship, as we know, has been a challenge, because like recently what happened with one of the validator ecosystem, one cloud provider simply shut down all the validator nodes of that and it was a pretty big protocol. It happened just 3 weeks back. So I think these kind of censorship issues could always be there, and that is not just for the startups or the enterprises, but it's applicable for government as well, because there's a too much of dependency of the entire digital economy on few cloud providers. So these are some of the risks which I believe are quite genuine risks, that needs to be taken into consideration.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, because I have a little bit of an unpopular opinion, given that I've been in the blockchain space since 2010. So we often talk about decentralization, right? And we do talk with many potential clients that come to us from the, let's say, what we call crypto space. and concern about censorship is huge. But at the same time, you raise tens of millions of dollars, you raise hundreds of millions of dollars, and what is your investment in infrastructure? You go to a cloud service provider, which can shut you off. And you can talk about impermeability of blockchain all you want, but if you tie your destiny to a single source, to a single pipe, it really does not matter which is the pipe. Is it Amazon? Is it Azure? Is it some other cloud provider? Reality is, if you don't invest and if you don't walk the walk, compared to all the talk that we hear, you're quite frankly, you do not control your destiny. And you can be taken offline at any given moment. And this is not just for private companies or for startups or for developed enterprises. We have seen interruptions in many government services. We have seen interruption in the way how different nations communicate, right? Very recently, I think a week ago, we had the underwater sea cables, actually about 4 of them cut. And portions of Middle East had significant difficulties accessing the internet. So it's also our digital infrastructure, and this is what we do not actually understand, is very sensitive. And it's not end of all means. Right now, just think about it. We have a couple of hundred viewers watching this, and I'm seeing the number is growing. So we, with our 4 streams, are coming into one platform, and then we're being distributed to a couple of hundred now viewers. Soon, I think it's going to be 1,000. So just think about all the streams of data that we're moving forward. And while we can criticize Amazon, AWS, and so on, it's very easy to criticize that. But reality is, if you have not invested in your infrastructure, you actually have a business, right? So you should pair yourself with other challengers and actually raise a lot of capital to run your own infrastructure, because then you control your own destiny, and then you can avoid all the topics of censorship and so on. And the challenge that the startup has, also governments have, also public and private sector, because at the end of the day, all of us here, we are here to satisfy the consumer, our client, our customer.
Interesting point of view. And then taking it from, you've been in the blockchain for a decade and a half, because you've seen it, how it was, you lived it, how it is, and then now post this part of how things are actually moving. So it's really interesting. And then this is where I'm going to jump to Abhishek. Abhishek, what do you think that from decentralization of GPU infrastructure, from open access versus permissionless? Because that's 2 different technologies, 2 different mindsets. Abhishek, you're with us? Yeah. Rafi, what do you think about this?
Yeah, so I think the value proposition for decentralized infra is very straightforward. Since, it's more of a horizontal scaling concept as compared to vertical scaling, which typically happens in the cloud environments. And here, so the users are contributing compute and storage to the network. And on the other side, consumers are utilizing this infra. And the whole value prop is that, there's a lot of idle capacity, whether it's compute or storage, and that can be utilized to provide infra to consumers at a low cost. So that, I think, the value prop theoretically seems pretty exciting, and it has been there for the last 6-7 years. Unfortunately, that has not translated much as far as some of the decentralized networks that we have interacted with or have worked with, in terms of the value proposition, in terms of whether we talk about pricing or set of features to compete directly with the likes of traditional clouds. But yeah, the value prop is very, very exciting. And if we are able to achieve this, then it's definitely, we are talking about a new or a complete transformation in the cloud model.
Yeah, so you are empowering clouds, whatever it is. Have you seen a shift or a preference, or there's a new way of things, how things are going with a decentralized world?
Sorry, Theo. No, I was just saying that decentralization is still something which is good to talk about, but in practice, when we talk about consumers, they do require reliability. They do require SLAs. They do require a certain set of features depending on what their app is, right? So when we talk about the tenet of decentralization, of course, it's amazing, but then we need to match that with practical pieces that need to come together so that we can offer this to the customer. Yeah, Theo.
Yeah.
Well, I think, look, everything has to do with the application itself, right? So let's take YouTube, for example, right? When YouTube came, there was what creator economy. That's a category that was literally created by YouTube.
New business model as a whole.
So just think, just follow me a little bit down the rabbit's hole. So it's like you're 2001, 2002, mobile phones are kind of like Nokia's and Ericsson's. I don't think even Sony Ericsson was back then a thing. And YouTube shows up and says, hey, you can watch videos. And then it's like, well, who wants to watch videos on the internet, right? It's like the TV screen, the mobile screen, and so on. And then, oh, here is a mobile phone that you can watch video, right? Here is Wi-Fi. You can watch video on the go, in a train. Well, not in the plane, or maybe in the plane, right? And all of a sudden, you have a platform where people went, you want to have a radio show? You need to be on the radio. Now you have a podcast. Now you have a vidcast. We are actually right now, if you think about it, 4 of us are communicating using a medium which used to be reserved for a TV station. Now you have YouTube, and all of a sudden you have a creator economy. You have more money coming in from advertisers. You have more money coming in simply from our eyeballs being glued to the screen. And then by default, all of a sudden, there was need for YouTube to expand globally. And this is where Google Cloud came in. Now, in the decentralized space, I would like to invite people who are watching us, go and watch Jensen Huang's speech. His keynote in US was really good. But watch the one from Paris. I think it was in June. The one in Paris, you had a lot of logos, right? And all of a sudden, you start to have these neo clouds. Some of them actually come from decentralized space. Some come from being a crypto project that pivoted and now raised actually billions of dollars to actually host infrastructure worth tens of billions of dollars. So I think, in a way, if you really take a look at it, we went from YouTube and creating the creator economy to Amazon, Google serving massive online multiplayer games, massive video content, massive streaming that, quite frankly, if you're from India, you travel to Dubai, here is all the TV channels. But guess what? You can have them in US as well. Exactly because of decentralization of content, right? And now look at the new startups. I mean, look at GPUNet, right? So it's an idea. You raise some money, build a platform. You use some centralized players. You start to build your own infra. You won't even notice, but you're going to have a lot of assets on the balance sheet serving hopefully millions of clients. And that is the vision of EcoBlocks, right? We didn't start our company because we felt everything is great in the world, there is no space for us. We came from the perspective of exactly players like GPUNet are going to come to the market. And how do we build a data center more efficiently? So we cut down the cost by about 60%. Time to market 2 years for a data center. We'll deploy it in 4 months. Now I'm probably going to have my team saying, no, do not say 4 months. It's 6 months just on the safe side. But it's, let's say 6 months instead of 2 years. And we're not the only ones, but I've seen grown tremendously in the past 3 years. And I'm very grateful for all the actually enterprises that came to us and we designed and built solutions for them and deployed, which are now serving, well, not exactly millions of users, but a lot of, moving things that are looking from the tower. So it's not the matter of can we predict the application today. Rudy, I mean, you've been in the crypto space, you've been in decentralized space, or let's say digital space, right? You've seen so many startups, so many ideas. Some were ahead of the curve, some were coming in, right? But just think about it, how many roll-ups we are now seeing, and Bitcoin strategic reserve for countries. Like last year, people were talking, it's a scam, right? So if you now tell me that decentralize a GPU, and let's say one GPU can serve like 15, 16 people, who are we to say that tomorrow we're not going to have a GPU serving 1,000 people and GPU net, I don't know, having 1 million GPUs, 2 million GPUs, 8 million GPUs serving the whole world, right? So everything is possible.
Very interesting. Abhishek, what's your take on the decentralization? Or let me go into something a bit different. In terms of cost, comparing cost, you have the 𝐂𝐸𝐿. I'm sure you're tackling also the centralized clouds or the open clouds from such as Amazon and so on versus the decentralized clouds that are today taking shape for the future. I mean, we're still early, I think, on this. What's your take on the pricing? Hi, Suraj.
Yeah, I think. Hey, Rudy, how are you? Yeah, I think Abhishek is having problems today, so you
cool.
can take him backstage. Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Ravi, Theo, if you have a thing on the pricing factor, is it what are we seeing maybe as a trend, maybe as a change? Because Theo, you mentioned something from 2 years to, we're not going to say less, 6 months, which is already a time saver in terms of operation costs and so many other things. But also, I'm sure you can hit it much faster. But sometimes even claiming in service level agreement that we can do it in 6 months versus in reality, you can do it less, even that we are hammered upon. But the idea of this is a huge shift of how things, already the cloud was a huge shift. And now we're having another huge shift. What do you think about this?
So I think that right now we have a lot of these conversations about how much GPU costs, how many dollars per hour, and then depending on which stack you build on top, how much those services cost per hour, right? But I think we're already shifting into this token model. So let's say your application per user will require 5,000 tokens or something like that. So you have 1 million users. Okay, you need 5 billion tokens, and you will be paying for a fast approach or a slow approach. So I think we're already seeing like this segregation where you have developer clouds, which are, here is your bare metal, here is your GPU, build your technology on it. And then we have like, here is a mainstream app and a mainstream app and a mainstream app, and their metric is a little bit different. So I think this is already coming to the market, and it's pretty exciting.
Very interesting. Ravi, what are you witnessing in this space of pricing competition, let's call it?
As I mentioned, I still believe it's early time. Right now we are not seeing much price difference. If we compare, with the entire set of features that come with a traditional cloud or bare metal. But yes, since the underlying concept is very clear that the decentralized infra is utilizing idle capacity, and that's sure to realize into at least 50 to 60% cost reduction. So I'm sure that cost reduction will happen, but these are still early times, and I think when we are able to offer all the features, the token economics start working out for a project, because that I think is one of the biggest challenge. How to manage the demand as well as the supply, and have a healthy token economics in place. But yeah, once that start happening for some of the projects which are in this space, I think we are definitely going to see a massive cost reduction.
So as a founder,
This is a very interesting kind of thing, and love to hear Ravi and Theo. I was watching you guys, hearing you guys from backstage. So, so I was in router protocol way before this, okay? And one logic that many crypto companies do is that, let's say you are paying this amount of dollar, right? And then what you do is, if you pay in our token, you pay 10% less. Okay, that is very idiotic. You could take $100 and buy back your token. Why would you take $90 in your token just to keep that utility? Right. So that, I think by now it has gotten proved that it is best that fees are collected or payments are collected in dollar. Okay. And the token serves the entity of accruing the value. Okay. And those people who are betting on the industry, it's for them. Okay. Don't make token over utility for over everything. Yeah. People, okay. So that's one level of conversation. So 4 years back, when I was looking at Filecoin, okay, Filecoin at that point it was sitting at almost 10 billion FDV, and we went really deeper into seeing what percentage of their capacity was actually getting used. So let's say there are 100 providers on the network, and 100 of them are providing storage or whatever. It could be providing GPU. Out of that, only 11, okay, were actually being used for the IPFS storage. Okay. So the remaining 89 people were getting tokens, okay, but they were idle tokens. Okay. Now my whole question is, yes, we want to decentralize, and the industry will move forward when we are able to use the idle capacity well. But
Right.
we have a new problem. We have created, instead of a new solution, we have created a new problem of idle tokens. Okay. The same problem was there with Akash network. Okay. The network every epoch is giving out so many Akash tokens, so many GPU providers. Okay. And it had a lot of issues because all of these are individual providers. They can go and switch off the GPU anytime. Okay. So credible software developers are not putting their backend system on Akash because they don't trust it as much as they trust AWS. And I'm telling you this very confidently because one of our clients actually shifted from Akash to us because of this. So,
Very interesting.
because
Very
of this,
interesting.
we adopted data centers. Okay. Um, the quality is much better, the scalability is much better. Okay. It's still decentralized at the end of the day. We have 12 very high quality data centers across the planet. We have got Northern Data in Europe, Core 42 in UAE, Yota in India, ByteDance in Singapore, Equinix in USA. Okay, these are now there on GPUnet as a permissionless platform compared to earlier, where it was someone had to jump through geopolitical hoops to be a Singapore user trying to rent machines in UAE or in US. Okay, so that is there. And we also eliminated the burn or the inflation of giving out providers GPU tokens, regardless of their machines are online or not. I think Ether is still doing this. Ether as a token in this nice pumping market pumped nicely, came in the top 100. I'm happy. Good for the whole GPU industry, but I think it is not the right way to execute.
Yeah, thank you. We have 15 minutes to go. I want to take two major questions because I want to start winding in the last part of this talk and try to understand, because now we're
I've
facing
actually told Surya to jump in even after you go, so he can take over
Sure.
as host.
No problem. And then I want to go into the scalability issues, because there is trade-offs versus traditional data centers. Elasticity, resilience, adoption. I'm going to jump into the adoption and the future also into that question, because all of this is kind of questions that the enterprise or end user or somebody wants to jump on this new wave would be asking. How can we answer so that he is assured of this new technologies, decentralized versus the data centers? Who's gonna
go ahead, Ravi, Theo, go ahead.
Yeah, Theo.
No, Ravi, please.
No, so Rudy, I was not very clear about what you wanted to cover here. Like,
what I wanted to talk about is very simple. Today we are faced between decentralized and traditional data center. We have scalability issues. We have elasticity. We have resilience. Are there any trade-offs? When I want to jump into this, I need to ask those questions. How can we assure that those are not trade-offs?
Yeah, so see, trade-offs are surely there. As Suraj rightly mentioned, you need to, like he gave the examples of some of the networks. I didn't name them, but yeah, pretty much I was talking the same thing. That, these networks, they are still relying on, the model theoretically looks very good, but the way they are, if there is not sufficient demand and still you are continue to give tokens to your providers, at the end of the day, something is going to go wrong, because it's not the right economics. So what I believe is that the incumbent clouds have got everything set up over the last 20 years. They have excellent support system, they have set of services, they have highly scalability, flexibility, everything is there. They can vertically scale to whatever your demand is, right? Vis-a-vis decentralized networks, which comes with a promise of censorship resistance or better pricing, utilizing idle capacity, which cannot be done in a cloud kind of model, right? Horizontal scaling. So, but the thing is that they need to match the service quality, the expectations, the customer expectations very well, so that then they can actually start competing with them one-to-one. Right now, the challenge is that the customers are not seeing these two options as at par options, right? Once that comes in, and it may start with smaller use cases. It's not that you can head on take on directly with the incumbent players. Let's say, and I believe that like we are trying out few decentralized clouds, and we are trying at smaller workloads. It may be experimental workloads or some testnet deployments that we are doing, right? So you start there, depending on use case, and then as more services start coming into picture, more features start coming into picture, then I see that these decentralized clouds are going to grow. Because I think the challenge with most of the decentralized clouds today is the demand generation, right? And it becomes a chicken egg situation. Unless you have demand, you won't be able to build more services and more
100%
features.
agree. 100% agree. 100% agree. If I was on Twitter, I would have thrown all the emojis, 100, this, that. But we are no more in the world where we want to create infra and build and they will come. It's completely the reverse. In fact, it's okay. It's okay to aggregate capacity, first build the distribution, use other infra. We can always.
Your point of view, I think you come from the other part, trying to merge both.
Well, first and foremost, decentralized data center versus data center, it's a data center. So, and quite frankly, you can say, hey, what is tokenomics? And then you go to Amazon Cloud, and there is no such thing as tokenomics, but there is something called creditomics. And that's the word that I invented. So we don't use tokens, but here are some credits for you, right? When you fly with an airline, you don't get tokens, you get miles or points. I would say when we look into the economics, there is many different ways how you can actually build your business. There are many ways how you can create a model, how you serve your customers. And I think that this is something that we should not, not discourage anybody, because quite frankly, people that were saying that crypto is not real were collecting frequent flyer miles, which are decentralized, basically currencies, if you think about it. So the first decentralized bank in the world is American Airlines. So, and why does this matter? Because American Airlines created a completely new economy of mental loyalty. So let's fast forward 50 years. How many applications we now have? How many games are coming onto Telegram? We don't talk about it, but the games on Telegram are like, this is your decentralized new platform. You come in, you roll up millions of users, right? So now companies like GPUnet, companies like EcoBlocks, companies like Ziv with basically, let's say, a real world asset. You can call it tokenization. You can call it whatever. But tokenization of compute is something that exists whether you are perceived as traditional, right, or disruptor. And I heard from Suraj, right? It's like, you use Equinix, traditional data center host. You use Core 42, that's a neo cloud. You use AWS, that is a traditional cloud, right? So if you think about it, one of the things which is huge, I would say, which for me is a huge misconception in our world, is talk about centralization or concentration. One thing that I've seen in the industry, and I've been working for 29 years, so I started when I was 15. We always talk about decentralization and the world is going to come to an end and we're going to have one company to rule us all and so on. And all that I see is just like new companies coming out of nowhere. Core 42 runs 25 exaflops of compute in United States alone, excluding UAE. And they're building that more and that more. That company did not exist 6 years ago. So it's very easy for us to look, 20 years ago, the world was different. EcoBlocks did not exist 5 years ago. We're a 9-figure company backed by real world projects. And I'm not coming here to say, hey, buy my token, because my job is not to sell an EcoBlocks token that doesn't exist. My job is to empower Core 42, Equinix, GPUnet, Ziv. My job is to work with the whole global compute ecosystem and say, hey, this is coming now from NVIDIA. This is coming in 2 years. Now, for GPUnet, does this matter? No, it matters to a data center operator, which is going to have to count the costs, right? And then you add the application layer of GPUnet. You add the application layer of all the apps that Ziv is creating. I mean, Rudy, it's layers and layers and layers, and I don't see this stopping, right? So all that I can say on my end is we need to work together as an industry to like remove ourselves from these tech buzzwords and just say, how can we serve 8.3 billion people? How can we bridge the digital divide? How we can bring capital to solve that? Now, capital coming in the form of crypto, traditional bank loans, loan to values, and so on, it's subject to discussion to each business, right? But the reality is we need compute. The world is addicted to compute, and there is no stopping, right? So it just, how do we get there? how do we become more efficient as an industry? And that's the biggest challenge that we have, in my humble.
Very interesting. Suraj, what's your point on this?
No, fully agree. Fully agree. Appreciating it. That's all.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for one more, which is related to a very important topic, if I want to take it, because of this, I think we really need to think about this whole technology, the future of cloud, or let's call it cloud 3.0, which is gonna be powered by GPUs, decentralization, a lot of changes, a lot of things that didn't exist, and of course, new players. We've known those names, big names, those giants. But now we're seeing a lot of new people. And you mentioned, Suraj, different regions are also rising. So what do you think, the guys, is the future of this? How will it look like? What's your point of view on this point?
So my take is that, yeah, Cloud 3.0 is all about, decentralization, composability, verifiable compute, because right now I think we are too dependent on third-party clouds, right? There is no basically decentralization and composability are two straightforward pieces. But when we talk about verifiable compute, I think with decentralization, it's not just about decentralizing the network and creating some kind of economics out of it, but I think users will have much more better control over the infra that they are using. That is what I believe should be Cloud 3.0, where it's not just about cost, it's not just about matching the features and services, but the users come to the control comes back to the users who are using it. I should be able to easily migrate from one place to another. I should be able to, on demand use services. And again, there should be marketplaces or ecosystems to drive that. But that openness should be there. And that is what decentralization can provide, which a centralization will not provide. As a centralized player, I will always have an incentive to do something which will, will be up to my top line and bottom line, right? It may not be in favor of the customers. But with decentralization, I think that should also open up. So it's not just about the network decentralization or cloud decentralization. It should be completely infrastructure and choices, that should come as part of it. That is what my take is. And then it becomes a very, very powerful proposition. And we are not talking about an incremental innovation. We are talking about a complete transformation.
Yeah, I like this transformation, complete transformation. We're living in a transformation on a day-to-day and a whole transformation. Theo, I'll take you, and then I'll jump to Suraj after this, and then we'll move forward.
Thank you, Rudy, and thank you, Ravi. Ravi, your role in the ecosystem is you're actually enabler, right? So it's like the APIs, the protocols that you rapidly deploy. When I take Suraj, the resources that you guys provide to the world. And it might seem that you guys are small, and you're definitely humble. But the reality is, I don't like to talk about Cloud 3.0 and Industry 4.0 and so on. I think the key thing that we have in our industry, what we need to think about, is latency. Where we have not deployed yet, and if we break that boundary that binds us, how can we make lives better? So I met quite a lot of people that utilize blockchain technology not as tokens, but as time stamping, and that actually enables something self-driving, that enables something self-flying. And I cannot say what, but let's just say that security of those services, of those vehicles, is something which we're seeing is driving a lot of capital into the market. I think features that made cloud hugely popular are also features that are preventing some of these new services that we kind of need, because latency is the name of the game. So let's say that Ziv deploys a bank, and the bank needs a validator of a transaction that happened in Brazil, and I'm in Dubai, and Ziv is in Mumbai, or Ravi is traveling in Hong Kong, and Suraj is in Canada, right? So we need to really work on seeing which of the technologies that are right now will be able to bridge some of the gaps that we have in the physical availability of the resource, right? Forget about having a self-drive car if you have this fat of a cloud layer, and this is where the compute is. And we would say here in Dubai, inshallah, you'll be talking to that in time.
I hope not. The word inshallah, I'm really allergic to.
Yeah, well, it's like in the IT world, there is inshallah here in the Middle East, and inshallah bukra, which means, inshallah tomorrow. Right, but there is also inshallah bukra manesh, which is IBM. So, I think we're going to have an amazing time. And look at all of us. Just the last sentence that I would say. We all are the summary of our experiences, but look at how many people and businesses we impact. And people like us right now, that is the Amazons and the Googles and so on of yesterday. And after us, there will be people that will build on us and build tomorrow.
Yeah, very interesting. So I'm going to exit the discussion. I'm going to hand it to Surya. Thank you, Suraj. Take it on from there. And then we'll definitely see you next week with another episode, with another discussion. Stay
100%.
tuned.
Rudy, we have to get you a nice GPUNet t-shirt, an orange one. Okay. So yeah, make sure I'll tell Jagrati or our Dubai team to do that. Yes, Jazz is on the backstage saying, so we have to surely get you next time, and
Sure.
wish you all the best for your meeting. We'll catch you.
Cheers.
So cheers, Rudy. So I think, guys, amazing, by the way. So Jagrati just shared me your thing, and I was seeing, Theo, you have been through a very interesting journey from Germany to Hong Kong to now being this builder in based out of Dubai. So how is it at your end? And especially I'm very interested to hear about 𝐂𝐴𝐶. You are, if I'm correct, you're building modular data centers.
Yeah, so about 60% of our business is still traditional data centers, but that's been flipping onto the side of modular, because our modular data center is actually telecom grade equipment. So you can deploy them anywhere where you're allowed to put a cell phone tower, basically. And we basically started our company about 4 years ago with the premise of, okay, so we need to transition the world to green energy. And the way how you transition is actually you create off-takers. So basically you take power, you convert it into money. So this is basically cloud. If you think about it, here is power coming in. All of us are paying for that service, including the service that we're watching right now, and out comes revenue. So at 𝐂𝐴𝐶, we simply started by listening to what the customers were asking for and what they couldn't deliver. And we moved in, started building different solutions. I'm very grateful to work with our partners at NVIDIA, AMD, Tenstorrent, and the server vendors like ASUS, Gigabyte, Dell, HP, and others. So, if you think
how's the Dubai scene kind of changing? I mean, geopolitically speaking, you were in Europe, in the peak of Europe and Germany, then in Hong Kong, then now in Dubai. So and I fully resonated with what you said. It's especially for big infra projects. Yes, we do have to care about how Ravi was saying, if we can have zero knowledge or verifiable proofs, yeah. But still, creating that infra at the capacity of Core 42 is something very beautiful, and at the capacity of mainland China is a whole different league. Yeah, no bloody Web3 project, and I'm sorry to say this, will build a $1 billion bridge that connects mainland to an island. Yeah, I'm sure maybe in 20 years we'll have more foundations doing that, but it's only the power of these very good executors. I think it's the power of very good execution. Doesn't matter whether it's decentralized or centralized. And I mean, obviously, Bitcoin is today bigger than the GDP of Brazil. So it's nothing small in that sense. But how does your geopolitical kind of things come back to this whole cloud infra kind of business?
Well, politics or geopolitics has always been complicated, and I think one of the main things that there is a lack of understanding in the geopolitical sphere is how interconnected we all are. So we as EcoBlocks or any other company, we cannot sell specific GPUs to China.
Yeah.
Yet we receive servers
Exactly.
made in China. So, and that's, I would say it's very challenging, but the most important part is you need to educate people. And even though if it sounds that people know everything, I think it's duty of all of us to give our 2 cents, quote unquote. So, and I think being in Dubai, living in Silicon Valley for a decade, living in Singapore, helping projects in Hong Kong, helping projects in mainland China, helping projects in US, and ultimately here in the Middle East. It's a very complex question, and it's a very complex answer. But in a nutshell, there comes an app that becomes ubiquitous, and then it hits its challenges, and ultimately it prevails. I mean, the biggest countries in the world, if you think about it, are mobile apps, right? So, and don't forget, like the Tencent is a game development company, yet they run the whole payment system of a country.
Yeah.
And then eBay of China, right? eBay of China is the second payment structure. So there is no one fits all, yeah.
We have ByteDance integrated onto dApp.gpu.net. And surprisingly, ByteDance is now actually overtaking Meta in terms of the cloud revenue. Actually, Surya, we should make a post on this. This is very important.
Yes.
We all know, we'll wrap up shortly. We all know this. And ByteDance is doing amazing. And the way they have built this is kind of fully verticalized. Their own same Facebook and ByteDance actually have a very similar trajectory onto acquiring social media users and building their own backend and building their own data centers. And what ByteDance did for their data centers in mainland China, obviously they have a very different arm, fully privatized and non-linked to the mainline. That's Byte Plus, which is based out of Singapore and which is now into the whole kind of data center play for many other kind of companies like us, aggregating them. So, okay, I think we'll take something last. Maybe Theo, you can drop off. I think if you have to rush somewhere.
Thank you. I have 15 seconds. So just, I would say thank you so much for invitation. I look very much forward to hosting you all in Dubai. And if you're coming for GITEX, we're exhibiting jointly with AMD and Vast Data on one booth and with AMD and our manufacturing partner on another. So hope to see you Hall 6 or Hall 26.
We'll certainly plan. We'll plan. All the best, Theo. Chat to you soon.
Great
Yeah?
meeting with you, Theo.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. So, Ravi, I think a discussion on cloud does not end for a crypto audience without mentioning Eigen. Okay.
Yeah.
And especially with the very, very huge news of this recent announcement of Eigen with NTT Digital, which is the crypto arm of Northern Data. And it's very interesting because even GPUnet, we have partnered with Northern Data to bring their India machines and their Japan machines, GPUs, on our network. So I would love to kind of, and why is that deal so important from you, especially from you who has done, I think, more than 40 cloud DevOps implementation using ZK, without using ZK, across the spectrum of things.
Yeah, so see, Eigen, we are partners with Eigen, like, for DA and AVS. These are the two major offerings that we work with. But as far as Eigen Cloud is concerned, I've recently heard about it, so I'm not sure about what the entire offering looks like. Or it is just basically, packaging or repackaging the existing set of pieces, which I'm not sure about. So, but yeah, DA, we have worked with Eigen DA across optimistic and ZK rollups, and the same goes for AVS.
Cool. So pretty interesting. I think what point got me intrigued was that there's this whole new uh, internet that is coming, which will not be for humans, but it will be for agents. Okay.
Okay.
And somewhere everything that we have built in the traditional cloud is for humans, right? So because of this, Coinbase is actually very, very heavily backing, and we internally, even we are fully exploring X402. Okay. So X402 is like a permissionless protocol. But I have a problem with X402, and I'll ask you in a minute. And the second news was, again, Google came out with this agent to agent communications protocol, agent payments protocol, so agents can talk to each other. And that's somewhere where they are using the Eigen Cloud, okay, the verifiable layer built by Eigen Cloud. Every time an agent talks to another, it doesn't matter on which chain they are, what token they are using, but they are still fundamentally on a blockchain that is verifiable by using the Eigen Cloud. I think Eigen has evolved from being that just that restaking kind of infra to being much more than that. Okay,
Got it.
so I think we deserve a whole discussion on that. But the second one, which was this X402, I don't know if you have looked at it. Okay.
No, not yet. Not yet.
So in a very simple way, we have API calls, and agentic world, everything will be API. I send you a query, you send me the output, right? I ask you, hey, ChatGPT says blah, blah, blah. X402 it works like this. Okay, so this works in a human world, right? You have credits, you have authorization. X402 works in this way. You send a query, okay? The protocol returns you the bill for that query, could be $0.02002. Okay, you make the payment 0.02, and then it sends the actual output. Okay, so while on the face it looks amazing, it was meant to be 402 on HTTP, that payments error, but on implementation, and I think Theo was also mentioning this, it adds a latency. The job I was doing like this now is a tuck, 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 right?
Right.
So I think you can resonate with me here. If I go and tell my clients who are using my APIs, and I tell them, boss, I'll give you X402, I don't think they'll bite. They'll be like, you're charging me extra and extra latency for this. So this is, yeah, I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. See, anything that hampers the customer experience is definitely a challenge in the workflow. But this can be done using, if I'm, let's say, a regular user. Now, it may be an agent or it may be a human. If it's a regular user, there can be prepaid wallets where you keep the balances, and it can simply just check the balances whenever you put an inquiry. It's like another layer of access authentication, which will not have much impact on the way we have the whole UTXO concept, right? So as soon as you make the query, then
So it is
at
like
the
you
time of
pre-approve for things, right?
Correct.
Then my
Right.
whole question is X402 in a system where you have to approve the wallet or the agent has to approve the wallet.
Okay.
How different it is from almost a SEX, which is like you deposit everything and then all your trades are approved on the
No,
click, right?
correct. Yeah, no, that's
Maybe
pretty much the
it's different for the agents. Maybe this is
Right.
a user experience that matters for me, but for the agent, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe. Correct.
Okay. So
Or the latency itself may be very marginal, may not have a real
yeah,
impact.
the
Maybe
facilitator.
today.
There's an added
Yeah.
role of a facilitator in between the
Correct.
the caller and that. So anyway, so these are very interesting points. Maybe we'll pull you in another day on. And I know we are just wrapping up today. We are 2 minutes beyond our allocated time. So great having you. Even Surya, sorry, pulled you.
Yes.
Thanks
No
to
problem.
Surya for managing the backstage of this. Right now, we are streaming on 5 platforms:
Yeah.
Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube,
YouTube as well as Discord.
as well as Discord. So thanks to all the community who is hearing us across all these platforms. Please do share your comments to the moderators. Everything we'll get really interesting folks like Ravi. Maybe we'll certainly plan to pull in Ravi again next time. And Ravi, I'll surely bump into you if I'm in New Delhi. Yeah.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Or
Thank you so
in
much,
Dubai.
Ravi.
I'm very frequent to Dubai, so we can definitely meet there sometime.
Yes, that's like the new Indian city where we can all.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Cool.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Surya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jagruti, for hosting this. Yeah.